Ozark has been one of the most revolutionary shows of television, thanks to its gripping action, suspenseful drama, and masterful acting. In today's video, we're going to be doing a full recap of the first 3 seasons. So, let's jump right into the video. Let's look into Season 1. Season 1 opens to the main character, Marty Byrde, played by Jason Bateman, who's revealed to be a financial advisor based in Chicago. But like many suspenseful dramas, it's clear that this is not all that Byrde does. It's soon revealed that Marty launders money to a Mexican cartel with his business partner Bruce. Soon after that, we find out that Bruce has actually been skimming money to the cartel, and early into episode 1, the cartel comes knocking on Bruce and Marty's door to get some answers. The answers that Bruce gives turn out to be less than ideal, resulting in Bruce's death. Marty begins to regurgitate seemingly every single word in the English language, and some of them luckily turn out to be a plan to move the business and the laundering scheme out to the Ozarks. The cartel accepts this deal and gives Marty and his family 3 months to move out there and establish a money laundering business. Marty moves his family to the Ozarks, and they immediately get to work with the local businesses to see who they can partner with. Marty's wife, Wendy, played by Linney, is let in on the laundering by Marty. However, it is revealed shortly after that not only did Wendy know about the laundering, but she's been using it as an excuse to justify cheating on Marty with another man. After Marty moves to the Ozarks, that man is dealt with in a permanent way, if you catch my drift. After moving to the Ozarks, Wendy begins to practice real estate with the intention of laundering money by flipping houses, while Marty gets to work trying to partner with local businesses. Eventually, Marty makes a deal with the Blue Cat Lodge, where he meets the owner of the establishment, Rachel. Marty's convinced by a potential rival/enemy, Bruce Langmore, to hire Rachel as a full-time partner. However, his intentions are much more sinister. Langmore plans on using Rachel to earn Marty's trust, find the necessary $8 million that Marty needs to launder for the cartel, then steal the money and kill Marty. Marty soon finds the local strip club, which would be an ideal target in their line of business, and decides that he wants to partner with them. So Marty has a meeting with the owner of the strip club. The owner decides that he wants no part in Marty's deal and turns him down, which leads Marty to steal the deed to the building from a safe hidden in the strip club. It is revealed to Marty by the strip club owner that he could not launder money for Marty because he is already laundering money for the local heroin dealers. When the heroin dealers, the Snells, find out from the strip club owner that he was offered to launder money for the Byrdes, the Snells have him killed, and his body is dumped at the Byrdes' house to send a message. Soon after, Marty meets a preacher named Mason Young, who preaches from his boat. Marty decides that he will fund the building of a church if Young agrees to allow Marty to launder money using the church. Young agrees, and the church construction begins. The Snells attack Marty, telling him to shut down construction. Marty refuses to stop construction, so Marty and the Snells rat each other out to Mason, who agrees to keep preaching on the lake. Marty and the Snells agreed to coexist in the Ozarks, making a shaky deal to have a casino built on the Snells' land in order to allow Marty to launder for the cartel. Marty and Wendy convince a potential house buyer to invest $900,000 to an investment fund, which, when combined with the rest of the funds that Marty and Wendy have acquired, equates to the $8 million needed to pay back the cartel for the money Bruce stole. Marty pays the cartel back and receives $50 million from them to fund the laundering business in the Ozarks. Now let's take a look at Season 2. Enter Helen Pierce, who spends her time charming and convincing politicians to be pro-casino to make sure that she has the backing necessary to build this casino. Marty makes a deal with the Kansas City Mafia to make sure that the building of the casino is unionized, agreeing that the Mafia workers are the only ones hired to build the casino. Shortly after, we find out that the casino legislation passes and the construction can begin. The FBI obtains a search warrant for the Byrdes' house. When the FBI shows up and searches their home, they find none of the laundering money, but do find $10,000 in stolen cash that was taken by Marty's daughter. Pierce and the cartel show up to ensure that the FBI learn nothing more. Helen decides that former friend and protege Ruth can no longer be trusted, which leads the Byrdes to evaluate their partnership with their other partners. Helen insists that the Snells burn down their opium farm so that they cannot be shut down for crimes other than their heroin operation. However, they refuse to do so. Shortly after that, Wendy distracts Darlene Snell so her opium farm can be burned anyway without her knowledge. The FBI turns up to the now burnt opium farm to find nothing except for a skeleton buried under the burnt ashes. The bones are the wife of the preacher Mason Young, but before the bones can be taken as evidence, the Snells replace the bones of their ancestors, which they then claim were in a burial ground that the FBI disturbed, causing the FBI to back off. Soon after, it is revealed that Mason has been been preaching on the streets with his newborn baby Zeke that he had with his wife prior to her death. However, a social worker approaches Mason and takes his kid away from him, claiming that he is unfit to be a parent. This drives Mason to kidnap Wendy in order to blackmail Marty into helping Mason get his kid back. Marty recruits the help of Charles Wilkes, who is a friend to Wendy, to return Zeke to Mason. Marty does end up returning Zeke to Mason, but Mason attempts to kill Wendy anyway, which leads Marty to shoot Mason. Mason's body is cremated, and the Byrdes take in Zeke as their own child for now. The cartel begins to change up their business model, which makes the Snells unhappy with their partnership, so they decide to add fentanyl into their latest batch of heroin, which results in multiple overdoses. The Snells then continue to have some internal family drama, with Darlene killing the patriarch of the Snell household before he could kill her. Wendy then uses money from an offshore account owned by her son Jonah to make a large donation to the Wilkes charity, forcing him to stay in the casino deal. Marty tries to find a way to leave the business altogether and take his family to Australia. However, the success of the casino forces him into staying. Now we're on to Season 3. Marty has not gotten back into the money laundering business just yet, as he wants to ensure that none of his partners are working with the FBI. Wendy begins to suggest that the cartel expand into actual businesses to ensure that they have a real line of income to better hide their money laundering. But Marty disagrees, thinking that the plan is much too risky. The head of the cartel, however, agrees with the plan and meets with Wendy in person to discuss her idea. Wendy's brother Ben comes to stay with the Byrdes despite his bipolar diagnosis. While Wendy and Marty begin convincing the casino owners to sell the casino for a huge payout, they decline at first, but eventually agree after Wendy rigs the slot machines to give out a constant stream of winnings, causing the owners a huge loss. Marty is met by an FBI agent with an offer to work for the FBI following a short stint in jail. Marty accepts after intercepting a call between Wendy and the cartel boss about acquiring a legitimate business, something Marty never wanted to do. The cartel gets wind of Marty's career change and capture him and take him to Mexico, torturing him for days on end. This also serves as an experiment to see if the casino can run smoothly without Marty, because if it can, he will be eliminated altogether. However, a problem arises at the casino, and Marty deals with it, proving himself essential to the cartel. Wendy and Marty are then instructed by the cartel to purchase a Kentucky horse farm, which houses the cartel's rival's prized horse, which they neutered. This causes the cartel's rival to retaliate, which sees Ruth get blamed for the attack and assaulted by a member of the KC Mafia, which results in Marty cutting ties with the organization. Wendy opens a charitable organization and holds a charity ball in which Ben assaults Marty, which forces them to put Ben in a state asylum. He's released by Darlene, the head of the Snells, and is soon picked up by Wendy, who realizes that his mere existence is too risky and abandons him in a place where she knows he will be killed in order to tie up this loose end. The FBI agent working with Marty reveals that Helen Pierce has a copy of his confession to work with the FBI, which sees Marty get called down to Mexico by the cartel. Marty goes to Mexico only to watch as Helen gets murdered by the cartel and welcome back into the business with the evildoers. That's all for today, and we'll see you next time.